Free agency is in the books, which means it's the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, NFL draft season. We're hoping the draft goes on time in late April because, well, we got nothing else to do if it doesn't. I'm Mike Renner, lead draft analyst, taking you through my latest post-free agency mock draft. With the number 1 pick, no surprise here, Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. No brainer. If they go any other way with this, if they trade this, it could be one of the biggest draft mistakes of all time. They got to go with Joe Burrow. Record-setting season this past year for the Cincinnati Bengals. On to the number 2 overall pick, Chase Young. This one, again, probably a no-brainer at this point. Yes, you could chase Jeffrey Okudah and some upside at the cornerback position. Yes, you could trade it away, but Chase Young, the closest thing that exists to a sure thing in this draft class. Once they traded for Kyle Allen, that pretty much put a nail in the coffin for any Tua Tagovailoa hype at the number 2 overall pick. On to the number 3 overall pick, where it's a trade. This one should have been the Detroit Lions pick, but we have the Miami Dolphins moving up to draft Tua Tagovailoa. He is theirs to lose because of how much draft capital the Miami Dolphins have. The most draft capital of anyone in the 2020 NFL draft. They need their franchise QB. Tua Tagovailoa looks like that when healthy. Now the medicals could be an issue with them, seeing as teams won't be able to get guys in the building, but I still believe that someone's going to take a chance given how talented he is. On to the number 4 overall pick, where the Giants could go a number of different ways with this pick. Offensive tackle, Mekhi Becton, maybe Tristan Wirfs, linebacker Isaiah Simmons. But I think at the end of the day, Dave Gettleman is going to fall in love with that potential, that quote-unquote upside that Mekhi Becton at 6'7", 370 possesses. The mountain of a man certainly can move people off the line of scrimmage. Now we move along to the number 5 overall pick. Detroit Lions, they got this from the Miami Dolphins. And it's Jeffrey Okudah. We've been mocking this since the beginning. They need cornerback. They play a lot of man coverage. Jeffrey Okudah, far and away the best cornerback in this draft class, played a ton of man coverage. Exceptional in press. What I love about him, the biggest wingspan of any cornerback in this draft class. The dude is built in a lab to play the cornerback position. I don't think the Lions can screw this one up. Let's move it to number 6 with the Los Angeles Chargers. They still get their quarterback. There's rumors out there that they might not be the biggest Justin Herbert fans, but they kind of backed themselves into a corner in free agency. They have Tyrod Taylor, a guy who's gotten benched at his last 2 stops at the quarterback position, now penciled in as their starter in a defense that's built to win now. I think they have to address quarterback, and Justin Herbert, while I can't get on board with him as a top 10 pick, he has a top 10 cannon for an arm. On to number 7, where the Carolina Panthers get their replacement for Luke Kuechly. Isaiah Simmons, a little more freakish than Luke Kuechly. May not have the instincts, may not have the box polish that we saw from Luke Kuechly coming out, but there's not a lot of things he can't do on the defensive side of the ball. Might not be just a pure linebacker in their scheme there in Carolina. He can do a number of different things. The freak goes to the Carolina Panthers. On to the number 8 overall pick, where the Arizona Cardinals have their choice between a number of talented offensive tackles with that glaring need at the right tackle position. Tristan Wirfs, though, the most explosive of the bunch. With how many screens they run, with how they like to get their tackles on the move, he probably makes the most sense for them. But again, I don't think they can really go wrong there with any of the tackles at number 8. Now we move on to number 9, where the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't know exactly what to make of them and what to do here, because I think, in my opinion, I would probably go with someone like a Jerry Jeudy, someone like a CeeDee Lamb, because yes, you have DJ Chark, yes, you have D.D. Westbrook on that roster at the wide receiver position, but none of them are moving the needle to me like a Lamb or a Jeudy would. But I think ultimately they realize how big of they see how big of a need their interior of their defensive line is and how bad their run defense has been in recent years. And that's what spurns them to pick Derrick Brown, because he is a sure thing in that regard. Just doesn't have the quote, the value that we like to see with a top 10 pick, but he is a high floor type of defensive tackle. On to number 10 with the Cleveland Browns. Again, too many talented offensive tackles in this draft class to mess this up. Andrew Thomas, though, makes the most sense because they need a left tackle. They have a right tackle in Jack Conklin, need a left tackle. Andrew Thomas has played there over the last 2 seasons at Georgia. If they're going to go someone like Jedrick Wills, he's only played right tackle in his entire college career. It'd be a completely new position for him. So I do believe Andrew Thomas, that sort of positional comfort is the deciding factor for the Cleveland Browns. That's why the New York Jets at number 11 go with Jedrick Wills. They have now George Fant, who likely is a starter at one of the tackle positions. Jedrick Wills could slot in on the right side. Super explosive dude, had the most big-time blocks of any offensive tackle in this draft class. Those are the bone-crushing pancake blocks that you love to see that make highlight reels. Jedrick Wills has that ability. Needs a little more polish, but with the 11th overall pick, you feel really good about that selection. The Oakland Raiders check in at number 12, and boy, do they have their pick of the litter here. They can go CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. All the receivers are on the board. To me, though, they need that true number 1. They need that big body that they can rely on when it's chips are on the table, 3rd and 5. Get that slant, run that route that you know you can trust. That's CeeDee Lamb among this wide receiver class. A bigger body than a Jerry Jeudy, better in contested situations. So CeeDee Lamb is the pick at number 12. And that leaves Jerry Jeudy on the board for the San Francisco 49ers with the 13th overall pick. This, to me, would be an absolute slam dunk to get a talent like that in return for DeForest Buckner in the trade they made with the Indianapolis Colts. Jerry Jeudy brings to the table something they really don't have on that roster, and that's dynamic route running ability. Yes, Deebo Samuel is a fantastic route runner, possess the sort of speed and quicks that a Jerry Jeudy does, and having both of those guys on that roster, and I know they have guys coming back in Marquise Goodwin, Jalen Hurd, but they're not Jerry Jeudy and what he brings to the table. On to the 14th overall pick, where I've been saying that the Bucs really need a right tackle to protect Tom Brady in that deep drop offense that Bruce Arians loves, and now they don't have one. DeMar Dotson gone. They signed Joe Haeg. He's been a career backup, though, in Indy. Not a great option for them at right tackle if he is thrust into play. I do think, though, Javon Kinlaw being on the board, a little too much value to pass up at this point for them with just what they'd look like getting off the bus. Dominican Sue, Vita Vea, and Javon Kinlaw. That is one intimidating interior defensive line. On to the 15th overall pick, where this draft really worked out well for the Denver Broncos as they get Alabama wide receiver Henry Ruggs, 4.27 speed, 42-inch vertical, explosiveness personified, and that's what they need across from Cortland Sutton. They need someone to take the attention off him, and with Drew Lock's cannon for an arm, I don't think even he can overthrow Henry Ruggs' speed. Let's go to number 16 with the Atlanta Falcons. Obvious need at the cornerback position after they cut Desmond Trufant. Only Isaiah Oliver and Kendall Sheffield realistically on that roster at the cornerback position. You need another guy in the mix. CJ Henderson, great in the cover 1, cover 3 sort of scheme. That's what they run there in Atlanta. The fit makes a little too much sense. Now at the 17th overall pick, Dallas Cowboys. This one's a difficult one to slot. They could go corner, could go safety, but I think K'Lavon Chaisson, what he brings to the table as an athlete, is something that the Dallas Cowboys will likely covet. Now, he has a little shorter arms, not going to be Danielle Hunter, but this dude has all the freakish athletic traits it takes to win off the edge. Not quite a polished product by this point. Didn't even have a pass rushing grade over 80 last year for LSU, but he's not even 21 years old. You're betting on his quote-unquote upside at this point. Now we'll get to the Miami Dolphins with the 18th overall pick. They need offensive line help. They didn't get it at the top of the draft with Tua, and in this mock draft, it took them the 26th overall pick to trade up and go get Tua, so they need tackle help right away. Josh Jones from Houston is that. One of the most NFL-ready pass protectors in this class. Uses his hands extremely well. Had a 58% win rate in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. Anything over 50% at the offensive tackle position. Well, that's very, very good, and that's what Josh Jones brings to the table. Now to the Las Vegas Raiders' second pick in the first round, 19 overall. They got this one from the Chicago Bears, and with it, they draft Christian Fulton, the LSU cornerback. Now, he doesn't fit every scheme likely. He's not the big wingspan guy. Wingspan's under 6 foot even, actually. Not a huge dude, but freaky movement skills, great breaks from off coverage, and Paul Gunther's defense, he is the perfect cornerback for what they like to do. On to the 20th overall pick, Xavier McKinney, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Alabama safety can do it all. They've been super weak at safety over the past handful of years. Now, they could use cornerback as well, but I think the value makes more sense with how few safeties there are in this draft class that can really make an impact out the gate. To me, Xavier McKinney is one of those guys. Run defense, pass rushing, coverage, you name it, he can really do it all. On to the 21st overall pick where the Eagles, well, they need a wide receiver. If you saw them at all towards the end of last year, that was pretty glaringly obvious. Now, they have some options. They don't have to pigeonhole themselves into wide receiver. They have Deshaun Jackson coming back, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside going into year 2. But I think Justin Jefferson, with his contested catch ability, big catch radius, and route running from the slot, makes a lot of sense to pair up with Carson Wentz there in the Eagles offense. Now to the 22nd overall pick, where we have the Minnesota Vikings going with TCU wide receiver Jalen Reagor. The dude brings some speed and explosiveness to the table. They lost that when they shipped Stephon Diggs out to the Buffalo Bills. Now, he's not going to replace Stephon Diggs' route running ability, but you need that deep threat in the offense to keep defenses honest so that they're not squatting on the underneath stuff, the intermediate stuff that Adam Thielen is so good at. Jalen Reagor brings that deep threat back to the table. Now on to the 23rd overall pick, where the New England Patriots have them going Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State, the boomer bust sort of quarterback, and I think if you're New England, that's what you want right now. This roster has taken a massive step back from where it was in 2019, lost a lot of key pieces, haven't really added one. And the biggest key piece that they lost, well, is quarterback Tom Brady. They can rely on fourth rounder from a year ago, Jarrett Stidham, if they want, but I think you got to keep taking as many shots as you can at the quarterback position until you got it right, until you have your franchise guy. 23rd overall pick, Jordan Love. You throw him into starting, it could get ugly right away, but that could also mean you end up in the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields sweepstakes in 2021. The New Orleans Saints now, with the 24th overall pick, go linebacker Patrick Queen. Not a lot of holes on this New Orleans Saints roster. Patrick Queen, very athletic, sideline to sideline speed, right down the street there in LSU. They've definitely seen a good deal of him. He would be a missing link to this defense, something they really don't have. Demario Davis, fantastic linebacker in his own right, not the athlete that Queen is and not the range that Queen possesses. Pairing them up together, well, that would just be unfair for opposing offenses. Last 8 picks now. Let's keep it moving. Minnesota Vikings. Mike Zimmer loves drafting him some cornerbacks in the first round, dating back to his Cincinnati Bengals days. He goes Jalen Johnson here, a very instinctive cornerback. The comp that my guy Austin Gale gave him was Marcus Peters, the Baltimore Ravens corner. Very similar size, very similar athletic testing, and the instincts and the dog in them jumps out on tape immediately. I think he's a Mike Zimmer type of cornerback. If they liked my cues, they're going to love Jalen Johnson out of Utah. Now to the 26th overall pick that the Detroit Lions got in that trade for going down from 3 to 5. They also picked up number 26, and with it, they addressed the offensive tackle position that is left vacant by the departure of Rick Wagner. Austin Jackson is the pick, USC offensive tackle, not even 21 years old yet, young dude, been productive, grades around 80 in pass protection the last 2 years. Maybe not quite NFL ready, still a tad raw, but they can take their chance there with this bonus pick that they got in the trade. Now on to number 27, where the Seattle Seahawks go Ezra Cleveland, Boise State, left tackle, probably plays right tackle for the Seahawks. They lost Jermaine Ifedi, lost George Fant, added Brandon Shell and Cedric Boyhe. Those really aren't long-term options at the tackle position. Those are stopgaps at best and hopefully backups if you can swing it. Ezra Cleveland, very athletic, very good movement skills, already back-to-back years with pass protecting grades over 80 at Boise State. I think he sneaks into the back end of the first round with how athletic he is. Now to the 28th overall pick, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Everyone's been pigeonholing them into linebacker. I think they'll be in luck with the value at 28 at linebacker position and what their scheme demands, and that is explosiveness, that is blitzing ability, and that is Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. He has both of that, ran a 4.51 at the NFL Combine at 240 pounds. That's a big dude that is moving. I think that will help in their blitz packages immensely year one. Now at number 29, you have the Tennessee Titans going Marlon Davidson, the defensive tackle from Auburn, replacing Jarrell Casey, who they moved for a 7th rounder to the Denver Broncos. Marlon Davidson at the 3 technique, Jeffrey Simmons on the inside. That is a dynamic duo on the interior. The makings of a very talented defensive line there in Tennessee Titans if they get Davidson. Now on to the Green Bay Packers, where wide receiver seems like it's going to be the pick for them, and they go Denzel Mims from Baylor here. 6'3", 210 pounds, 4.38 speed, 6'6", 6'3" cone, all the athleticism in the world, dominated at the Senior Bowl. This guy has been flying up boards over the course of this offseason, and rightfully so, with his performance there, like I said, at the Senior Bowl and how athletic he is. Exceptional in contested situations, but he can get open in his own right as well. Now with the 31st overall pick, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Realistically, I'd have them trade back and draft Cesar Ruiz a little later on, but I wanted them to still get a pick in this first round, have them selecting somebody. So it's Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan, can slot in at right guard there immediately, has that size and versatility. But like I said, I think this pick makes a lot of sense with not having a second or a third round or not having a single pick on day 2. It makes sense to trade down and get some more draft capital if you are the San Francisco 49ers. Final pick of the first round, the Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, A.J. Terrell from Clemson, smooth-hipped, long cornerback. Yes, he got torched a bit in the national championship game, but he was right there at the catch point at a number of those. Just lost at the catch point to Jamar Chase and had some reps early on in the game where he did shut Jamar Chase down. So has a lot of talent, only a junior, rarely tested at Clemson. I think he ends up sneaking into the first round. And that is it. That is the first round of the PFF 2020 mock draft. Make sure to go to pff.com to check out the entire mock and the entire write-up I did on the website. And make sure to go get yourself a draft guide. Use the code NFL2020. You can get a PFF Edge subscription, an Edge monthly for $7.50, and that will give you a draft guide. Any subscription gets you a PFF draft guide, over 1,100 pages, 300 player profiles. We think you're going to love it. Make sure to head over to the YouTube channel as well and check out all our other videos.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.